Big Sills! 15 days until the National Football League draft. And you're always looking for people that check all the boxes. Professional, NFL ready, especially first rounders, talent. You're looking for people, and you're looking for men when you're drafting potential people to fill your roster when it comes to building a football team. You see, what people look at first and foremost is talent. Dude, you're not in the NFL draft, and you're not being considered to play in the National Football League unless you have that talent. You have to have that. Check all the boxes. The Philadelphia Eagles are in the process right now of working on a contract extension for Devonta Smith. And what's interesting about this is the Justin Jefferson and the CeeDee Lamb contracts have not been done yet. So is he going to get ahead of that like Jalen Hurts did before the Joe Burrow and the Justin Herbert contracts were done? Is this going to be about what's good for Devonta? That also tells me a lot about the player. Hey, I'm not worried about the market. NFL Players Association would have a problem with that. But you know what Devonta and his agent and his family are thinking about? What's in the best interest for me? He's playing in Philadelphia, the place I want to spend the rest of my playing career in. I think that's what separates that guy from CeeDee Lamb and Justin Jefferson. You see, Justin Jefferson's going to chase a bag of money. He signs in Minnesota, he'll never win. When has Minnesota ever won? Back in the 70s? And kind of almost? And kind of almost? I say this about, you know what, too? I got to say this. It's funny that Xander, my first day, April 26th, we're coming up on that day. We're 16 days away from my first day working at JAKIB Sports. And first question he asked me, because he's a Bama guy, he goes, what do you think of the Devonta draft pick? And I go, well, I think he's a schwimp. I think he got drafted to the wrong team. I couldn't have been more wrong about a guy. I thought he'd be injured. I didn't think he was built big enough for the National Football League. All he's done since he's been a Philadelphia Eagle has been nothing but a pro. Kudos to him. He came in NFL ready. I'll tell you something about Nick Saban preparing a player like he did with Devonta. And, of course, the player gets most of the credit for this. He was ready. He's never bitched like A.J. Owens, who walks off the field when he doesn't get his targets. When the pacifier drops out of his mouth, he starts bitching and moaning. As a matter of fact, you could make an argument that argument that they had in week 4 or 3, whatever it was, when he wasn't getting the ball and they had that conflict on the sidelines, that was the beginning of the unraveling of the football team and the high turnovers with Jalen Hurts. You could make that argument. Get the ball to me. Get the ball to me. I'm not saying you don't throw the ball to a talented player like that, but that's not championship football. If you ask me who plays championship football, Devonta Smith or A.J. Brown, I say Devonta Smith. He can arguably go down, in my opinion, as the greatest wide receiver in Philadelphia Eagle history. Deshaun Jackson, Mike Quick. You throw in that conversation. Harold Carmichael, pass-catching flanker, so to speak. He was kind of a hybrid wide receiver, tight end guy. He could go down as the greatest player at his position in Eagle history. And I think the Philadelphia Eagles want that. He is exactly what you want in a can I say he reminds me of Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp is not going to make the most money in the National Football League. He gave the Los Angeles Rams a hometown discount, but he wanted to play in LA. And most importantly, what was it? He wanted to play with Sean McVay because he believes that Sean McVay is going to put him in a position of success. I think Devonta believes that the Eagles are going to put him in a position of success. Look, you know my position on the head coach. I don't think the head coach is very good, Nick Sirianni. And I don't think he's going to put him in a position of success. But what I do think the Eagle front office is going to do, they're going to do everything they possibly can. Look, my criticism about Howie Roseman and how he builds defenses, I think it's chronicled, and I think you can look at it and you know exactly what you're looking at when you see all the failures. And you see that they don't know what they're doing on that side of the ball. However, they do take swings. They do take swings. Here's a swing. Saquon Barkley. That helps both AJ, Jalen Hurts, and Devonta Smith. And by the way, is Devonta Smith the best talented receiver in the league? Would I take him over Jamar Chase? Hard to tell. You know why? Because Jalen Hurts is not better than Joe Burrow. What if Devonta Smith was on a different team with a better throwing quarterback? Would he be considered better? Let's do this. Xander knows this better than anybody because he watched it at Bama. Do you think that Devonta Smith would be a better wide receiver with Tagovailoa? Would he be better? Nick Saban thought so. Would he be better with Josh Allen? Would he be better with Matthew Stafford, Brock Purdy? Because once again, Jalen Hurts is not the best throwing quarterback. He's still learning. It's a process. Can you imagine? How would Devonta Smith look if he was in Kansas City? Or even Green Bay with Jordan Love? CJ Stroud. You really can't look at him and go like this. Well, you know, Sills, he's not the best talent. No, he doesn't have the most talented quarterback throwing him the football. So you really can't make that distinction. Would I take Devonta Smith over Jamar Chase? That's a hard one. Would I take him over CeeDee Lamb? Yeah. More importantly, would I take him over A.J. Brown? Would you take Devonta Smith over A.J. Brown? He's a better pro. He's a better leader. He plays championship football. He has more intangibles on his side than what A.J. Brown has. I make this statement to you here when it comes to giving him a contract extension, and I'm in favor of it. Giving it, and he's open to it. If he's open to it, I'm willing to give him one. Because that means I'm getting a hometown discount because the market's not set. And I would make the comment to you, I'd rather have Devonta Smith than A.J. Brown any day. And I'm going to win more opportunities at being in a championship setting with him than I am with him. What the Philadelphia Eagles need to think about and put in a process here, hey, trade A.J. Brown on draft day. I know there's a massive cap hit, but they've shown propensity to take a massive cap hit when they did that with Carson Wentz. Put a kid on a rookie deal. You're basically paying for A.J. Owens with a brand new rookie wide receiver. That's what Buffalo's going to do. Buffalo's not. I heard Buffalo's going to be talking about making a trade. They're not making a trade for CeeDee Lamb. They're going to go into the NFL draft and get one of these high-flying wide receivers, put him on a rookie contract, and they're going to go with that and say, Josh, this is why we pay you $50 million. I am not paying $25 million any longer for A.J. Owens. I love calling him A.J. Owens because I think he's got an attitude like A.J. Owens. So, again, where I would come in when it comes to Devonta Smith on money, I wouldn't have a problem paying him $25 million a year. I mean, between 22 and 24, 25, somewhere in there, give him his bag of money up front like you do everyone else. And you can lower, okay? You can lower your cap hits. I think it's a brilliant, in an organization that has not drafted well at wide receiver, they landed on somebody that could be the greatest in the history of the franchise. It's pretty great. It is. But I'll ask you this one. Does Devonta have the right quarterback to really pull out the best in him? That's yet to be determined. Do they have the best coaches right now with Kellen Moore around Devonta? If you're Devonta Smith and his agent, do you believe that Philadelphia is the best place for him and his career when it comes to a contract extension? Could you imagine Devonta Smith on the open market of what he could potentially get if he went out there and say they didn't pick up the fifth-year option, which I'm saying on May 2nd, that's not going to happen. They're not going to let him roll into the upcoming 2024 season, and they're not going to let him go in, and then they get nothing for the guy on the way out the door. That's not going to happen. So they'll pick that thing up on May 2nd if they can't get an arrangement or a deal done. But I got to tell you, man, he's been an absolute consummate pro. He's never bitched. He doesn't cry. And all he wants to do is win. That's a guy you believe. Okay? That's a guy you absolutely believe when he goes into a game. When I look at A.J. Brown, I look at him and I go, I think that guy just cares about getting 10 catches, 120 yards, touchdown. Whether he wins or not, he could give a shit. He could give a shit. Honestly. But I would ask the question to everyone. Okay? Is Hurts the right guy for him? Is Jalen Hurts the right quarterback for Devonta Smith? If you're the wide receiver, well, look at Justin Jefferson. Let's just take a look at that. Again, everyone knows the history with Jefferson in Philly. He's got to think about, do I want to sign a contract extension in Minnesota when I don't even know who the quarterback is yet? You're going to go get me J.J. McCarthy? Do I want J.J. McCarthy throwing me footballs and I'm making $30 million a year? Where's that getting me? He'll get $30 million anywhere in the NFL. He's the best player at his position in the National Football League. So ask yourself that. Is that guy the best? Is he? And can Jalen help me in what I need to do when it comes to getting the best out of my performance? That's what I would say. So, Philadelphia Eagles, is it about getting the fifth-year option, which gives the Eagles more time? Or get this. Here, think about this for a second. I'm still not sold on Jalen Hurts. I'm sold on Devonta Smith. I would give Devonta Smith his money before I would have given Jalen Hurts his money. Think about that. So if you pick up the 5th-year option and you're Devonta, all I've done in the years I've been here, every year I've given you 3,000 yards in the 3 years I've been here. Okay? I've broken rookie records, and I've been as consistent as possible. What has he done? He's not been consistent. So I say the Eagles should give him his contract extension. Because in my opinion, he's got a chance to become the greatest wide receiver in Eagle history. I mean, 20 to 24 million, somewhere in there, I think could be the number. And that's the kind of player you want.